Oh, I don't think this worked, but if it worked, hello. Um, I'm sorry, I'm really tired right now. Let me just make sure that I'm actually live and not like talking to myself and being delusional. Because both go hand in hand a little bit. Let me see. Hello? View channel. Oh, I think I actually am live. Oh my god, I'm finally live. Let me make sure I can hear myself though. Yes, I can. I'm so smart. Woohoo! Okay. Hello. Welcome back. I'm sorry. Last stream, I know my mic was off, I think, for like half of it. So I am, yeah, that's just something y'all gonna have to deal with because I don't know why it was off. I really have no idea why it was off. Today, I have no idea what I'm gonna be doing. Honestly, I just kind of wanted to yap about writing. I have my comic pulled up because I haven't really done anything. I don't know why. Whenever I get on these streams, I'm never productive. I swear, I'm not productive. I'm so unproductive. You don't understand. Last stream here. This is what I did. This is what I did. Last stream, y'all couldn't hear me, so I'm probably gonna delete that video because later. I decided to edit a little bit of the story, so I made a whole new um was it a whole new storyboard for this. So this is what I did in the meantime. I really wish y'all could have heard me because I felt like I was doing so well. Besides this panel, this I don't even know what this is anymore. Point being was I spent the whole entire time kind of trying to showcase my work to you guys, like showcase what I did, and it sucks that like half of that got cut off because I was literally like talking about my story, telling it to you guys, and I'm now depressed because what the heck? Like, why did it do that to me? But on the other hand, I still have the opportunity to still talk about the comic, so that's good too, get a fresh new mindset about it. I guess what I really wanted to do was I wanted to talk about writing today. So I wanted to talk about like how I have written my comic or how I'm writing it right now, and I will show you stuff. And the warning, there will be spoilers because I'm too bored and I just want to yap right now. But I did spoil a lot like the other day, but it didn't work because nobody could hear me. To be honest, I don't know what happened. I think my headphones got connected and then they suddenly just they couldn't pick up my voice anymore. I don't know. But whatever. We're gonna forget about that. Um Besides that, that's kind of what I wanted to do, just talk about writing. Yeah. So I guess let's get into it then because I have nothing better to do than talk about writing. Well, here, okay. This is all story stuff. So this is all things that I've drawn for no apparent reason. And these are my storyboards. So all these are storyboards. If you want to know the formatting of them, I use specifically this. So it's 800 by 16384. Don't question. Oh, because this is just the. What is this? Oh, okay, that's good. That got me. This is just the max amount of, I think, height that it allows for the this is IBS paint. But what you really need to be concerned about is the 800 width. So it doesn't matter how long it is as long as it's 800. But I use the longest amount of the longest amount of value for this. So that way it scrolls like easier. This is not right about writing, but I just wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's important somehow. It's definitely somewhat important. And last stream, I wanted to talk about not authors, like people that I have looked at or like watched videos from and how they've like helped me kind of write my own stories. So I wanted to share that with you guys too because I have nothing better to do with my life than do that. So this is one person that I watch a lot. They write a lot of like about like writing and stuff like that. So I've watched a couple of these. I think the one that I've watched the most was probably this one. This one was funny. I liked it. They have a lot about this kind of stuff too. About they're like a writer, I believe. I've watched this one too. It's like an hour, 31 minutes. I don't know how I did that. But what I normally do to figure out like how to write is I just like listen to other people and I just like write. That made no sense. I'm sorry. I'm so out of it right now. I swear to you guys, I'm like dying. I am dying right now. I had, I think, 3 classes today and I had at 8 a.m. So I'm like dying. This is another person that I watch a lot. I normally watch their lives. So they have like a lot of live stuff and they're really like informative on stuff like this. Like they talk. If you guys don't know, they had a Webtoon had a contest. So they talked a lot about Webtoon, which is like a comic platform, which where I post my comics in case y'all didn't know. And so yeah, they have a lot of stuff on Webtoon and everything and like how to be a better creator, I guess. And the last guy, this guy's an actual like author, so he's got more stuff than I do, but he's popular. He was really popular because he has like a bunch of lectures, so you can watch his lectures on like world building and like character building and all that stuff, and they're pretty interesting. But besides that, normally what I do to kind of write is I don't really know. I just kind of think of an idea and I just kind of like write. Like I could show you I have to pull up the dreaded what is it? This thing because I don't want y'all to see my private life. But I have like two Google Docs for your information. I have two. I have one which was the old one that I had with all the story ideas. So when I first started making it, that was the older version of the story, or I guess not the older version, but like a less tuned up version of it. And now I have the newer version. So this is the older version of it. As you can tell, this is like just me kind of talking about everything. So it's not very like in depth, I guess you would say. It's just kind of there. Like you see this is all just like just bullet points of things. Like they're just things that I wanted to include that I thought were like funny and stuff like that. But they're not really like things that are like actually set in stone, you know? Well, kind of. Some of them are. They used to be. Like, see, I had episode 2 here, and this is like episode 2, but the only thing that is different is when I wrote this, I didn't know anything about the format of like Webtoon, so I didn't know how many panels this would be or how long it would take me to do this. So like this episode 4 is condensed into like this is condensed into like I think like 3 episodes, maybe not 3, maybe 2. But I know this is like a separate episode from no, this is the same episode. I think this is the separate one. I think. But some of them I split up because obviously this is like 5, 6 episodes. Let me go to my haha. Because look, I have 13 right now, 13 posted episodes, but the thing about that is that I think I had at least like 7 that I was planning to do before everything. Yeah, 7. This is 7. This was supposed to be 7 episodes, but because of the way that everything works, because when you upload the comic, it only has like 20 megabytes, I believe. So it only lets you upload 20, and it didn't let me upload all the panels that I wanted to do. Like this is why I couldn't, this is why I had to put a part 2, because it wouldn't let me do like the 20 megabytes limit. And I was so mad. I was like, how dare you? Point being is, when you write, you have to keep in mind that you're writing this for a comic. So it's not like, I guess, a traditional book in the sense of like, oh, like there's a scene and then another scene. Like what I've always heard from other like comic creators is that when you like finish like a story or like an episode, there has to be some sort of like cliffhanger, I guess. So something that kind of like engages the audience and makes them like want to continue reading, That is not something that I've done because I'm a little bit of newbie, but it's okay. I'll do it. I promise. But that is something that I've seen that works really well. Like in other comics, they have cliffhangers and it works really well to engage the audience. I mean, not that you have to necessarily worry about the audience. I wouldn't say that like you have to like be like, oh my god, you have to be thinking about the audience all the time. But it's something that you should keep in mind whenever you're writing like a comic or a comic series. I've watched like 10,000 million hundred video essays on like anime and writing stories and everything. And a lot of people do say that it's important, but honestly, I don't think it's that important. I think what's most important is writing an engaging story, Like, okay, yeah, I think most of you have heard of like the 3 episode rule where it's like your first 3 episodes have to really engage the audience, but I don't think it should be that way. I think most importantly, your story has to be engaging before your 3 episodes. Like, obviously, your 3 episodes have to be like, pretty well, like, because they're the first, they're the first introduction to a story, but they're not the only introduction to a story. And there's different ways to kind of get out there. I don't think I'm doing a very good job of it, but there are different ways. I think if you want to know about a little bit more about like the process of this, of like why the 3 episodes aren't working for you, or like maybe why you're not getting any views, I'd say watch this one. This one is really good. And it also mentions other platforms too, so not just Webtoon. Sorry, I don't know why I'm out of breath right now. Point being is, writing is hard and writing sucks. I'm kidding. I love writing, actually. It's one of my favorite things. It's just a lot, because, it's a lot. That's it. It's just a lot. Literally though, this is the 7th episode, and can you imagine this is gonna take me? It's gonna take me forever, man. I'm so sad that y'all couldn't hear me the last stream. It's like really depressing. I don't know why. It's just sad. Like, I was so pumped up. Like, you don't understand. Um, I don't know. I don't know what else to talk about. Writing is hard. Oh wait, I was gonna show you this. So this is my newer version of all this, but a lot of this has changed, and I don't like half of this. And the dialogue is not what I had before. It's not. The thing about me is I don't really write dialogue. Like, yeah, you're gonna say this is dialogue, isn't it? And it is, but like, it's not. It's not really dialogue to me. It's not what I wanted from this. I would show you like this is different than what I have in like this episode, I think it is, where like he spills water on this one girl, and then it's like, oh my god, and they have this whole heartfelt conversation, but that never that never happened. Not yet, I guess, not yet. Point being is, a lot of people say that your writing is more important than the story, not the story, than the art. And I will agree with that on some sense, but at the same time, I think they're both pretty important. Like, your art plays a key role in your story in some ways. Not to say that you have to have like 100% like 1,000 beautiful 100 million pixels art, but you could have something that works and something that doesn't work. Like if you had a horror comic, it wouldn't make sense to make it like this style. You know what I mean? Like, like you wouldn't make it like a cartoony style, and you wouldn't use like bright colors unless there was like some other thing that you were going for. In that case, then go YOLO. Don't listen to me. But that is all to say that, like, I don't know. I think when you're writing, there's certainly a lot of things that you have to take into account, not just like your audience, not just like the pacing and all that stuff, but there's just like so much you have to think about. I'm just a yapper at this point. I yap too much. I should stop yapping. That's not true. I like yapping. One thing I would say that would help me, I guess, think about my story is kind of just like writing everything down. Like, for me, the story was in my head for a little while, and then it kind of like left because I kind of got bored. Like, I think, okay, when I first started this, I started this for a contest, right? So I started in like May, right? This is all May, And then I think after I published the sixth episode, I took a huge break. This is May, June, July. I took like 2 months and then I came back. And that is not to say I did the same thing here though, literally. But what was I gonna say with that? I was gonna say that it takes a long time, the writing process, and I was still kind of like thinking about everything. I was thinking about the direction I wanted the story to go. Because although I had already planned like some main plot points, ooh, that's a good thing too, is that when you write a story, you should at least know like the main plot points that you want to go to. So this is gonna be spoilers for my story, but if y'all don't care at all, go ahead, just listen to me. But basically my main plot point is obviously like the arcs. So the I guess like the beginning, the middle, the end, as they say, right? So my beginning is like evil villain and superhero, they meet up together and they end up like, doing stuff to get they end up doing weird no, they end up becoming friends, I guess, in that kind of sense. Or like evil villain ends up getting like wanting revenge for this thing, but then like they end up becoming friends. That kind of like is the beginning. Or it could be as simple as saying like, oh, it's a story about a superhero and a villain who like end up finding a way to work together to defeat like a common enemy, something like that, right? And then your middle should be, well, whatever the middle is, I guess like the climax. So for me, it's the introduction of my two villains. So I have my first villain, Finger of Fate Man. Second villain, spoilers, but is an alien war, okay? And then the finale. And then that should be it, right? Like you should know at least like a couple of the plot points, I'd say, because those are important for like bridging everything together. Like you don't have to know everything perfectly. Like honestly, I don't even think you have to know your ending. But as long as you know like the beginning and the middle, then you're kind of set for the rest of it, you know? Because then in your head you could be thinking like, oh, okay, this is how I want the beginning to go. Now how do I make it go to the middle? How do I make this seem like fine? How do I make, the characters like all work together, especially like if characters have different dynamics? How do I make them become friends? It's about because writing isn't just about plot points, it's about characters too. And I think for me when I write, I think a lot about the characters and less about the plot. Like the plot can go backwards for all I care. It could go we could I think somebody wanna okay. A video that I once watched said that the I think like the background could change. Like the whole chin thing could change, like the setting, but the characters are gonna stay the same. Like not that they're gonna not that their arcs don't have an arc, but like they're gonna do the same things even like in a different world. Like think of like an alternate universe, you know? Like if my story wasn't about superheroes and they were just like school children living their lives, they would still have like the same characterizations, the same kind of conflicts, the same like internal struggles, that kind of thing. That's the way I think of it, you know? Like when I write characters, I try to make them as I don't even know how to describe this. Like characteristic as they could be. That's not a good way of describing it. But I guess for me, like my the first character I ever thought about in this story was Evil Villain. Because he's the main character, obviously. He's like the best. Not true, but he's the first character that I thought of because he's the first one. He gave me the idea for the story, essentially, right? So I started crafting him and wondering what he would be like, you know? Oh wait, I can show you guys. I can show you. This is why I have an iPad. Oh my god, guys. Haha. I'm so smart. We can get off of here. Here, when I first started making Evil Villain, y'all want to see what he looked like? He looked ugly. Where is he, anyways? This was the first design, I think. This is his first design for Evil Villain. He looked, a little funky, and this is his dog. He's got a dog, but actually, it's never really shown. No, he's got a dog. He's got a dog. It's shown in the story. And then I decided to rework it, make it look weirder. And then this was him. And then after him, I made Superhero. And that's basically what I did. And then I decided to make a cover for that. I made the first story cover art. I was like, this seems really cool. And to be honest, I had no direction. Like, when I first started, this was how my panels looked. They were just, was it? wait, that actually looks kind of cool. They were just one. Wait. Oh, never mind. I thought that was a different. Wait, that looks kind of cool. I'm getting distracted by everything. But okay, you see the difference between this and where I am now, where they're like longer. That is something that I think, if you don't know about this, this is something that I think would help, because this was the size that I was using. Hello? Hello? What the? What size are you? Oh, 800 by 112. Well, I can't speak numbers. 800 by 1280. That is the size that I used. And just for a little background knowledge, 800 by 1280 is probably like this. It's just like this. It's probably even shorter than that, like this maybe. So like this would be because the way that they break it up in actual webtoon format is they do this. So like let's say when I do this and I try to upload this, it's not going to let me upload this whole big line. So what I have to do is I have to split it up into sections, right? Every section is like one panel that's one size. That's 800 by 1280, I believe. So then I would have to go and do like, I don't actually do this because there's a website that does this for you, but see the difference? Because now this is in the way of this. So this panel right here is in the middle, and that's just not gonna work. Like it just doesn't work for me. And it helps a lot with clarity too, is one thing I realized was when I was first planning out my story, I didn't really know what I was doing. And a lot of this was just panel by panel by panel. That's not that's not the panel. But it ended up kind of hindering my story, you know? In the sense of like, had I been using this really long formatting, it would have been easier to see what I was doing and plan everything ahead. Like you can see clearly where everything's going, how it's going to scroll. Like if I literally go like this, if I zoom in, I can scroll down for you guys. I can show you an episode based off of what I've drawn, you know? Like that's what I mean by that. That it's easier for you to see as a writer how your story is playing out and how the reader can see it. That's just what I mean to say. Wait, no, go back. Point being is, I have no point. I'm just yapping, I swear. Point being is, when I first created Evil Villain, I didn't know what I was doing with him. I didn't know what I was doing with any of the characters. I was in YOLO land, and I was going off of my own intuition and weird mind. But when I started to think a little bit harder about where I wanted the direction of the story to go, I started thinking about the way that I want people to not people. Well, I guess the way that I want to portray the character and the way that I want the audience to take it. Which is, in a sense, it's really hard to kind of convey to your audience who your character is supposed to be. Like, sometimes it's easy, you know, like, I feel like with Evil Villain, it was a lot easier to convey who he's supposed to be. Because he's just like this goofy dude. And especially, like, in some first episodes, like this one, it's really easy to kind of convey who he is, because you can see him, you know, like watching like soap operas and watching like random things, and so it kind of characterizes him a little bit. Oh wait, no, don't go there. Rude. How'd you go back? Point being is, I am working really hard to characterize my characters. I can't think of a different word for that. I think the word I'm looking for is to write my characters in a way that's authentic, but also seems like, you know, they're characters. Because, well, in one of the videos that I watched, because I watch a lot of videos, somebody said that your character shouldn't be like, I guess your character can never be like realistic. It cannot be a real human. And like on one part I agree with that, but on the other part I feel like you can, like, I think the way that they were saying it is like, oh, your character can only have so many like experiences, you know? Like your character's never going to, I guess you cannot portray your character as like somebody, I don't know how to describe it, bro. I don't know how to describe it, but I swear to you, I had it in my head and I literally lost it. point being is, I think writing characters is one of the most challenging things you could do. And I've written a lot of my characters, and it took me a lot of time, you know? I'll tell you right now that, go back. This guy, I did tell you there are gonna be spoilers, but this is not a spoiler. Bro, can you, like, not do that to me right now? This guy, y'all can't see him because I'm not zoomed in very well. But he was originally, I had thought he could be evil. Like, he would be a potential villain in the story. But then I changed it because I psyched myself out and I said, no, he should not be a villain. I think for that to have come first, it's just characterization, like knowing your story. Know the setting of your story, ask a lot of questions, you know, ask like, in my world, do people eat ice cream? In my world, you know, I guess for me the questions I would be asking is like, in my world, like, what are heroes, or like what do they do? Like, how are jobs assigned to heroes? You know, like, what do the villains do? Like like all that kind of stuff. Like, my world is similar to normal human world, so I don't know much about world building. If you want world building video, I'm telling, listen to this guy. This guy's got a ton of things on world building. I listened to his story on plot structure. He was talking about the hero's journey and how it can be applied to most stories. Most, if not all, but all is a little subjective because some stories can get a little bit off of the hero's journey. If you want to know what the hero's journey is, in case y'all didn't know for some odd reason, it's basically this like cycle. Let me find a good one, bro. I guess this is a little bit very much, isn't it? But basically, the hero gets like a call to adventure or something. Like maybe they're like mom dies or something, and then they have to go and become. But I guess I could apply it to the story that I'm doing right now, guys. I don't think it really applies in some ways. I guess to be a spoiler, but the call to adventure for my characters is different for each one. It depends who we're talking about. I guess if we're talking about the actual hero in the story, then it would be my actual superhero. And for him, his call to adventure is when his parents died and he was forced to be like a superhero. And then he meets some sort of mentor. I don't think he really meets a mentor, but I guess you could argue that like, I don't feel like he meets a mentor, or like, I guess a supernatural aid would be like evil villain, because evil villain's got like a bunch of powers and stuff. And the road of trials and tests. This is like enemies, allies, stuff like that. So it's basically all the villains in my story. Oh, this is too much. What is this? This is horrible. I give up. Where's the nice circle of niceness? This might be better. Yeah, this is better. See, okay, yeah. Because the idea of this is that your character goes from an unordinary world. So think of like aliens are attacking the universe and now the whole world's changed. Ah, give up. Leave me alone. We're leaving this Zoom meeting. I don't need it anymore. Ha! End meeting for all. Okay. So, I think in my story, is there an ordinary? Okay, there used to be an ordinary world and now there isn't. But, well, I guess it works. The idea is your character's supposed to believe something that's like really ordinary. Like they're gonna have to have a belief that's like that can like not, I guess a belief or like a thought that'll never change. Like, or not never change, but that they think can never change. Like they think something in their life and never change, and then it changes, and then that's the call to adventure. So I don't know if this applies in my story, but maybe like superhero believes that all villains are evil, right? And then he meets evil villain and his whole belief system's changed. And I guess that's sort of a call to adventure. There's more ways to do it. The way that the guy explained it in this thing, if you want to actually listen to this, it's actually a really great one. But he explained it as Star Wars. I forgot how. I don't know anything about Star Wars, okay? Leave me alone. point being is if you want to use this type of thing, it can be helpful to lay out like a plot structure and everything. Oh, hello? Okay. I have personally never used this. The only reason I would use this is kind of to organize my thoughts. So I'm kind of like the more sporadic, random person of the group. I just kind of write and then I fix things later. So I will think of an idea and I'll go, oh my god, this is perfect. And then a couple of days later, I'll look at it and I'll be like, this was a horrible idea. What was I thinking? I have, I, the way that I solidified my character stories or arcs or whatever, basically the drama is I just kind of thought about it for a while. Like, because I already had my story kind of set in stone, like, my story is not really need any world building because superheroes have been very world builded in time. And also the fact that most of my story is on Earth and nobody really needs world building for Earth. The only thing different is power system, but I will get into power system later because that is not the important part yet. Because right now I'm still introducing all my characters, which is kind of sad. I really want to get into the meat and the bones, but meat and bones. I don't know. But the thing is, it's going to happen, and I'm prepared for it. If I was not prepared for it, then I'd be screwed, and my story would be all over the place. But personally, I think my story is in a good place right now. I think it has the potential to be a good story. I mean, I hope so. I don't know about that, but I've spent a lot of time about it too. Like, I think when you try to characterize your stories, don't just think of them as like tropes. You can certainly use tropes to your advantage. Like, I think my superhero and my villain are probably common tropes. And same with a lot of other characters that I have, you know? Like, I think they're very common tropes. But the way to work around that is that not all tropes are bad. I think it's just the way you write those tropes is dependent on, well, what you know about those tropes. I guess. So, what I would like to think about is like, oh, when you think about a character or your character, think about like their daily lives. Like, if they play chess, would they win? If they lost their keys, how would they react? You know, if they got caught by the FBI, what would they do? How would they react? What would they say? I think that all matters in characterization. Like, right now, I could tell you if Evil Villain got caught by the FBI, he'd be like, I feel like he'd take like a really like goated mugshot. Like, if they caught him and he's like arrested, he would like definitely like mog somebody. Like, he'd like do like the Squidward handsome face at the guys, and he just like, you know. But if like superhero got caught by the FBI, he'd be like quaking in his boots. He'd be like so scared. He'd be like, "What the heck is happening? Like, what did I do to do this? Like, what?" Like, I think you kind of have to know your character a little bit, and I guess in some ways you could play as your character too. Like, I've heard people say that when they write dialogue, they they like speak it like if the character was there. Like, they talk like their character, they act like their character. Personally, that has not worked for me. I do find that actually saying the dialogue out loud does work for me, but it also kind of like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I have to like, I don't know what I mean to say. Personally, I never really use it because half of the time I forget. I swear it's something that would be good. Mostly what I do, or what I've looked at, is about videos on like fighting and like villains and heroes. So because my story revolves around obviously superheroes and a lot of fighting and stuff. So I've looked at videos on that. I would recommend whatever your story is, search up videos on that. They probably have video essays on like the newest anime with like random things. And that might be helpful to you. If it's not helpful, then you might want to look at, I don't know, something else. I'm trying to figure out what the something else is. Well, okay, there's this, I think this guy was the one who gave me this. Let me see which one. I think it was this one, the 5 essential rules to storytelling, or it was probably in the ultimate recap, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's it. But in one of those videos, there was a lot to do on like characters. I think it was actually this one, character psychology. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. In that video, I think he said that the characters have to have like a belief, and that their belief is kind of going to be not challenged, but I guess changed in some way. So like, I guess one of the things that I have is like my oh, where's all my stuff? Where's all my notes? I'm so sad. I'm so depressed. Like for example, my superhero. He has this belief that all villains are evil. Or I guess like all villains should be evil because that's what they are, right? But then his belief gets challenged by evil villain because evil villain's not really like a villain in the traditional way. And that's kind of it. I mean, like, because I think what he was trying to say was that if you want to have like good character dynamics and like actually like deep character relationships, what you have to do is kind of figure out like what your main character's like belief is, or like what they truly like believe in, and then kind of like write your characters like around that. So by that I mean like, let's say you have like John, and John believes that, I don't know, the earth is flat, right? You're gonna have another character who believes that the earth is not flat. Or maybe you write another character who believes that the earth is indeed flat, but it's not flat. I don't know what else. I don't know what else we could add. Maybe like somebody believes that the Earth is a spear because of blah blah blah, but then the dude's like, no, it's not a spear. Like, what are you on about? Like, you need to have characters, I guess, with opposing viewpoints with your own character. Like, not to say that all of them have to have like opposing viewpoints. Like, obviously, not all of them are gonna be like, that's bad, you suck, or like, I love you. Like, some characters can just be like neutral in some way. But I think in general, they kind of all have to have like a little dynamic, you know? I've written a lot of things, and a lot of it has gotten scrapped, which makes me sad because I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, all this stuff that I wrote just doesn't make any sense anymore. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. I think it just means explore your options. Give yourself time to actually write what you want to write. You know, look over at your favorite, you know, stories, favorite like anime, TV show, whatever, and just kind of maybe analyze it, you know? That's what I normally do. Is I like watch something, like I'll watch an anime and then I'll analyze it for a little bit and I'll be like, wow, this was like good storytelling, or wait, this was like the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, how do I make it better? You know, like I'll look at a story and I'll say, wait, this was kind of missing something. What was it missing? Or maybe I will watch an anime and be like, wow, this anime was really fun. You know, what made it so fun? Was it the characters? Was it the world building? Was it the immersion? That's one thing too that a lot of people say, that your story and art is really important for immersion. So if you want to learn more about that and like immersion, I'd recommend watching. I believe it was this one. This one was really good too, because these are all like creators who talk about how they make their story and how they've like done everything. This guy just got a lot of stuff. I like this. I like this a lot. Like, this guy's really fun. But I think that's kind of it for right now. Is like, just, I guess first things first, make a plot. I can make a plot with you guys right now. Let's make a plot. Okay. The story about a cat who becomes a space alien. That seems fun. So cat becomes space alien is our plot, right? If he's following the hero's journey, then maybe the cat lives in space and the cat feels comfortable, you know, they don't want to leave their little space island. But then maybe their home gets invaded and they have to leave. or for some other circumstance where they have to leave. Like maybe there's like a sickness that's taken over the entire city, leaving only a few survivors, and they all have to leave their friends and family behind. And then maybe the conflict behind that is the cat, their space cat alien, doesn't want to leave because they love their family. You know? Maybe there's another character in there who does not like their family, or maybe just wants to leave for safety reasons because they don't want to die, obviously. But our black cat is like, no, we have to save everybody. But in the end, they ends up um they end up leaving because character conflict. One of them has to do something, or maybe they get into this huge fight and like one of them ends up leaving, the other doesn't. Or you could maybe add another character in between that. Maybe like one, like our black cat is the one who wants to stay, right? And then there's like, I don't know, the white cat who doesn't want to stay, wants to leave. And then there's like a calico in between them. Or like, I guess it'd be like one of those spotted cats, the cow cats. And then in between them maybe is a cat who believes that there's a cure, or believes that there's a possibility that people could be saved, but we need to leave in the meantime, but come back later to save everybody, Like, maybe that's not the most logistic thing ever. I could write more about these characters, Like, I could go into depth on the black cat. I could ask myself, why does this black cat want to stay with the family so long? Like, why is the black cat, like, why is the black cat going so far, like, to risk, like, the cat's own life for, the cat's family? And then you may ask yourself, oh, okay, maybe this is like a kind of backstory thing. Maybe the cat was abandoned as like a baby kitten, and then this is like the only family that poor kitten had. And that's the reason why the cat wants to stay, because, he's not going to abandon the family that he found. Yeah, that seems, I can't. And then maybe the white cat is the opposite. Maybe the white cat has been abandoned by its family, or maybe it had a family, but it lost the family with the zombies or whatever, the disease, illness that just brought upon them, and now there's no reason to continue to stay there, because if all his family's dead, why is he gonna stay? In my story, my conflicts are kind of similar. I think my superhero, he's got this like internal conflict with himself. He's kind of like struggling to figure out whether or not he should be a hero, or if he kind of believes himself to be a villain. And my character, my villain, my evil villain, he's kind of like in limbo right now. Like, there's more to discover about him, but right now you're not going to discover a lot. But he does have, I guess, some sort of internal conflict between himself too. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but I have to spoil it because y'all are just here for writing. No, but my evil villain, spoilers. He's an alien, and he lived on an alien planet that got conquered and like destroyed, and he's like the only survivor. And so that's definitely some sort of like commonality between, not commonality. The commonality between the two, of evil villain and superhero, is that they both like lost their parents, and I guess, yeah, they both lost their parents, and they're kind of like alone, but one of them became a hero, the other became a villain. And the reason why evil villain became a villain is because he kind of sees, well, when he was like younger, because he was like a little child when he arrived on Earth, right? He what I'm saying, he would read comic books, and in those comic books he would see aliens being portrayed as evil. Aliens being portrayed as like demons, and like people, not nice people, starting wars and everything. And so he kind of thought that that's what he had to be. And so, kind of similar in the same way, our superhero, he got his powers when he was young, after his parents died. And now he's kind of believing that he has to be a hero for the sake of like everybody, you know? Like everybody who has powers, at least in my world, kind of uses their powers for, and I mean not good, but they're kind of drafted into like a hero society. And so that's definitely something that I think connects the two of them. It's like their, I guess, shared pain in some ways. But it's not just them. Like I worked really hard on making sure that all the characters kind of connect. You know, like I'll spoil things for you right now, guys. But my first villain, Finger of Fate Man, he's a he's an office worker, and his whole thing is that his office, like, I don't even know, like he just like he lost his job and his office got abandoned, and now he's like lost everything, and he wants control back, and that's the reason why he's kind of like a villain, is because he wants control, because you know he lost his job and everything, and like that kind of thing. There's more to the story, like if you get into it a little bit more. I sorry, I'm like losing my mind slowly, but the point being is, even though my villain, Finger Fate Man, is kind of evil, like, you know, he does some evil, questionable things. He's not necessarily like the worst guy you'll ever meet. The worst guy you'll ever meet is the aliens. The aliens who conquered evil villains' home. They're the one of the main villains in the end of my second arc, because I have two fights and then that's like near the end. And I have so much planned. I'll spoil it all for you, so be warned. If you don't want any spoilers, go away from here. Just get away. Don't listen to me. But evil villain is evil villain. Oh my god. Well, yeah, cuz okay, think about it this way. Everything connects back to evil villain in my story. Everything connects back to him. So my the reason, so basically, right, hold up. Let me just backtrack, right? I told you before that evil villain's parents get killed in the alien war, right? But then the aliens are just conquering every other planet in the backdrop of all the whole entire series. So they're killing people, they're taking the planets apart, you know, they're destroying stuff. I will foreshadow that, I swear. It's not gonna be foreshadowed right now because it's too early for that. It'll probably be foreshadowed in Finger of Fate Man's arc, and I will get to Finger of Fate Man's arc. Just hold up a sec. I mean, the point being that I want to explain with all this is that all my characters are kind of connected, and they all play a big role in the story. They are never going to be fully side characters, in my opinion. They all kind of have their chance in the spotlight. At least the majority of them. You know, some of them might have like smaller roles because they are side characters, but some of them have bigger roles. Like, most of the time, I don't write a character to just be there and then I leave it gone, you know? Like, I write a character to be written into a story, and they're going to stay there for a while. I think, sorry, one thing that I really like is having a character act, you know? As they say, a character is a character. They should act like a person, you know? If I saw aliens floating from the sky, I would do something about that. I would not just stand there. I would run. I think you have to think about it like that. Like, your characters are not, I feel like your characters are like their own voice in their own way. I would never write them in a way that would make them not a character, or like not my character, you know? Like, to me, they're like their own person. And if I were to, let's say, if I were to write evil villain as a guy who steps on ants and he crushes people for a living, and he sits on a throne. Okay, well, evil villain would sit on a throne, but he wouldn't be like that cruel, you know? Like, he wouldn't torture somebody for fun, you know? He wouldn't do that. And so that's uncharacteristic of me to write a story like that. I think that's what I think of. So I've written, of course, like a lot of things about these characters. Like one of the guys from the Villain League, I said I've named him before, but Y'all aren't gonna remember, especially not if I delete the second stream, which I'm very sad, but okay. The guy from the villain league, his name is Shapeshifter. His powers are what you think they are. He's a shapeshifter, but he's a really bad shapeshifter because his powers only can make him shapeshift into really weak things. Like he's like an ant, right? Like he can shapeshift into an ant and like a bird and a worm, you know? That's it. Like that's all he got. And essentially, if I had a thought of one time writing him as a villain because I don't know, it just came up and I was like, what would he be as a villain, you know? And it got to the point where I wrote a whole entire thing. I think I still have it. It's like, I think, right here. Is it here? Is it in here? Oh yeah, it's in here. Oh, it's in there. Maybe it's not in here. Maybe it's down here. The point is, I got to the point where I wrote that entire thing. I wrote in entirety. Yep, it's right here. I wrote it entirely here, just thinking about what if he were a villain. You know, how would this work? What would be like the catalyst towards his revenge? Everything. I watch videos on villains. I watched videos on everything. As you can tell, this is 29 out of 29 pages. This is 10 pages. So this one has a lot more to it. But the point being is, I considered it. I really considered turning my character into a villain. And the reason why I decided not to do it was because it was uncharacteristic of that character, you know? I kept thinking about it and I was like, you know, this would be kind of cool if he was a villain. But that's not what I had in mind originally in the story. You know, like it's not what felt right of me to do. If I turned him into a villain for no reason, it just feel like a cutout board of this character that I had before. You know, like I like the way that my character is written. I like the way that Shapeshifter is a villain, but he's not really like actually a villain. Because, okay, in my story, he's not actually a villain. He's just undercover as like a hero for the Hero League, but he's just pretending to be a villain. And I think that's really like funny to me. And it wouldn't work if he was like literally, it wouldn't work in the same way that it would have if he was a villain, you know? Like, it would have been a little bit tragic because this dude, okay, ow. Shapeshifter is stepbrothers with this guy named UK guy. I need better names for them, but for now he's gonna be named UK guy. So UK guy's powers are he can control time, but only in the UK. That's it. And so they're stepbrothers, and I wrote a lot about like their conflict, especially when I had thought about Shapeshifter being a villain. But I realized that that's not the way I wanted their relationship to go. That's not the way I wanted the conflict to happen. And I realized that I didn't want that. So, what I did instead was I kept on thinking about it. I wrote a lot. I still write a lot, but not that much. Point being is, there's a lot that I have to do, especially for characters and creating that emotional bond with a character, you know? Like, it's going to be hard. And I think writing that is especially hard because, especially if you're unsure how you want your character to be seen as, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Like, for me, I was unsure about how I wanted to portray Shapeshifter for a long time because he was one of those characters that was like so like in the blue, like out of the blue. Like he was a guy that I just created because I thought it'd be funny. A lot of the characters were like that. I created them because I thought it'd be funny, but then I never actually knew what to do with them. And so then I had to actually go in there, think about their arcs, think about what I want them to be, who I want them to be, and how I want this to relate to my story. So I have to think about what are the important plot points in the story, how are they going to affect major points in the story, you know, like Finger of Fate Man. He's the guy who literally starts half of the conflict. But then later in the series, he ends up being the guy who helps people because that's just what he does. I don't really know how to explain that. But like my shapeshifter guy in the beginning of the story, he's this really weird dude. Okay, maybe not weird. I just use weird for everything, but he's a guy who doesn't really know how to use his powers. He's pretending to be a villain, and he's just kind of like he's just there. Well, not really there. He's got a lot of, he holds some weight to the story right now. Like he's he likes evil villain. They are like friends. They become friends in the end. I think last stream I was talking about it, and I'm so sad that I can't show you guys anything. But in the end, they become friends. Like they have this little dynamic going on, and it's something that I think like makes the story better. You know, like I'm not just thinking about the dynamic as in like, oh, I already know what that dynamic is, but I think about how to write it in the story. So by that I mean literally in like the next two episodes I have like a little bit of like dialogue between those two characters, and I make them closer, Like I have them start asking questions, I have them like debate not debate, but like they can be themselves, and they're like authentic enough to the point where I'm like, okay, that's my character somewhat. That made no sense. I'm sorry. I'm so out of it. My point being is that if I want to create a relationship like that, I have to show it. That's the thing about comic making. Because it's so easy to write a dialogue between two. Okay, it's not that easy, but it's easier to write a dialogue between two people and say, like, oh, like you can make a conversation say, like our cats, right? Our black cat and our white cat. Black cat and white cat, maybe they've been besties for like a long time. They've been besties since they were kittens, right? You can easily, I feel like, write that, but it's harder to portray that, like in a story, like you can say, oh, like white cat and oh my god, black cat and white cat have been besties since like forever, but it's easier to say that than it is to show that, Like you can do both when you write, but you can also do that when you do comics, is what I mean to say. Is what I mean to say. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. No, the point being is if I want to show the relationship between my black cat and my white cat, I have to think about it in a way that shows both their characterization and what their relationship is. So maybe when they were kittens, they got into arguments a lot and they kept on stealing each other's food, Maybe instead of that, they would sneak out at night and they'd go to the playground for no apparent reason. Or maybe they would tell each other scary stories about like aliens and weird things. I don't know, aliens and like monsters and stuff. I feel like that adds to the collective, like the reader experience and like a little bit of the characterization. Like now I can tell, like, oh, maybe like the black cat is like a little bit like likes to be like a prankster, like a joker. Like maybe the black cat is like the one telling the scary stories, but the white cat is like all afraid or something like that. Or like maybe the white cat's not scared at all. The white cat's like, ha, you're a liar. That'll never happen. And the white cat's the one that's afraid, but they're just telling the story, because they like telling stories or something like that. It kind of makes no sense, but I think in a way you kind of have to write your characters that way. Like, I don't always do it often, and I haven't done it yet. I swear I'll do it. Maybe I'm just thinking that I haven't done it, but I've done it. But, what up? There's a lot of ways to show characterization. It just needs to be there. Because if you don't know what your characters are like if you can't imagine them on Christmas morning and it's snowing, like, would they go outside and, like, throw snowballs at people? I think evil villain would do that. I feel like my superhero would make a snowman. Finger of Fate Man. He'd probably just do nothing. Maybe he would make. Oh, it depends. Finger of Fate Man is like he'd probably do nothing about the snow. But if he was further in the arc, he might throw snowballs like evil villain. And I feel like my shapeshifter, I feel like him and his stepbrother, they'd like make an igloo for no reason. Like I feel like that'd be something they do. it's just about those like dynamics. Like for example, if evil villain and superhero were in the snow and it was snowing and they were together, what would they do? I feel like evil villain would throw snowballs at him, and the superhero would throw snowballs back. As expected, it's a snow thing. So that's kind of what I mean. It's just writing characters all about that, you know. Writing characters is just about knowing what your characters are and how you want to portray them. Because obviously you're the one writing them. So yeah, I know how I said before, like, oh, like your characters kind of have to write themselves, which is true in some aspects. But also I understand that it's kind of hard when somebody says that and you're like, what? What does character writing themselves mean? And what I mean by that is just like, think about how you want to portray the character, and then make it as authentic as you can, you know? Like if I want to portray some goth vampire, but they're also like a huge like K-pop fan, then I have to think of ways to do that in like a good way, you know? Like I can't just characterize like a K-pop fan. What does that even mean? No. What I mean to say is like if I'm writing a character that's a goth K-pop girly, then I need to think about how I want to portray that goth character. You know? Um does she have like goth friends? Does she have K-pop friends? What the heck? Does she like metal? Does she like that kind of songs, or does she like just only K-pop songs, you know? I think it's more just about being curious about your own characters and asking questions to clarify things. Like I've asked so many questions. Like I don't even know what my dude's favorite food is, but I could tell you like I don't know. I don't even have their zodiac signs down. But if you wanted to do that, that could help you write a character. What's their zodiac sign, you know? What is their favorite color? What's their favorite food? Would they kill for somebody? Would they I don't know, that's all I got. Point being is characterization's a lot, and I like talking about characterization quite a lot, as you can tell. I think I yapped about the same topic for like 5 minutes. No, yeah, 5 minutes. Like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If you wanted to get into conflict, that'd be a little harder. Conflict is always hard. Conflict. Conflict is just using your characters' like beliefs against them, kind of. I think I mentioned this before, but like essentially the idea is like one of my conflicts is superhero believes that all villains are bad, right? That's just a conflict, an internal conflict, right? So if he believes that all villains are bad, then what if his conflict should be against the villain who's not bad? There may be somebody who's not bad. Or the opposite. Maybe once he learns that all villains are not evil, he meets a villain who is truly evil. And that makes him question his beliefs again. You know? It's things like that that make a difference in the conflict. It makes it meaningful. Because if you just have some dude punching someone for no apparent reason, it's not going to be satisfying. You know? Like, I don't know, have you ever like seen a TV show and just thought like that was the most satisfying punch ever? Because the character was so annoying. Like maybe there's just some dude who's just like I don't even know. Just really annoying. Like you just want to see that guy get punched and then he gets punched. Like it's more satisfying than if some dude just got punched out of nowhere. You know? Like you don't have to be serious about it. I think the best stories are unserious, in my opinion. But that's also true that you don't have to be silly all the time. There's a good balance between the two, and I think it's just about finding that balance, you know? I am not gonna sit here and say that I'm like the world's best author or whatever. I don't even like write half of the time. I just think about stories in my head. But that doesn't mean that I cannot create a good story if I really think hard about it, you know? And I've written a lot, so I feel like that, that counts for something at least. And I have stuff here. It's not exactly what I would consider a great story yet, but I know that I'm getting close to what I've actually wanted to do with this story. So if you're willing to continue and follow that journey, I'd appreciate it because, that's just the fun part about it. But now I feel like I've yapped for too long. How long have I been yapping for? An hour and 4 minutes. Okay. Not bad. Oh, wait. Why is it not a first-person shooter? Wait, hello? Is this the wrong... Hello? I'm reading your comment. It says, why is it not a first-person shooter? Like, it would be really good as a first-person shooter. You should get some geology and language culture experts. I did this, made great stuff. I don't know what this means. Let me see. When did you comment? Why am I'm so blind. I think I'm blind half of the time. Oh my god, that's me. If you could tell me what you were trying to say, I'd appreciate it. I do not think you're watching anymore, but why is it not first person shooter? I don't get what this means. I'm sorry. I really don't get what this means. If you're asking about first person perspective in writing, that might be something that I could talk about. You should get some geology and language culture. That's what I did this, make Grace. Yeah, I don't know what this means. I'm sorry. I don't know what this means. If we're talking about first person perspective, my story is I think most comics work in first person perspective. There are ways to do flashback. Oh, where is that? Dang it, I know of a... Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. No, that's my Discord. I know of a really good comic thing. Hold up. I believe, let me search it up. Because there's a really good YouTube video on how to do webtoon paneling that I want to show. But I don't know if I can find it. It's gonna be hard, isn't it? Get away from me! Okay. Oh, this might be a good storyboard. Cause, okay. Oh, this guy! Oh,
Let's talk about how to...
Bro. This guy's really good too. Hold on, let me put him here. If you... let me just make sure that... Okay, I don't know what happened, but... Comic panels. No, stop. Give me... It's like this little pink thing. If I find it, I'll send it to you guys, because I don't think I can find it. Which is so sad. It was so good. It's like one of the best ones. One of the best examples of how to do comic panels. Yeah, I can't find it. But I did find another guy. So if you want to, that's my Discord. Stop opening Discord. If you want it, if you wanted a different approach for comics, this is this guy, Walter, I don't know his name, but this guy makes a lot of things about comics. So he talks about how to print comics, how to do like comic stuff, just everything about comics, and how to create your own webtoon website, how to do like pacing, that kind of thing. He does a lot of things. Like these are some of his things that he's written. How to make a webtoon using Krita. Oh, if you wanted a how to make a webtoon using IBS Paint, I'd be glad to show you guys, because I use IBS Paint and I have never seen anybody do that. Like, I have never seen anybody do that before. I can search it up. How to make a webtoon using IBS Paint. Actually, I think there are some videos, but not a lot. Because, yeah, see, this is somebody who has canvas size. Yeah, it seems, yeah, see, these are paneling tips too. Is this, man? I don't know, there was one. There's a lot of videos, as you can tell. There's a ton and a ton, but I find that some of them work and some of them don't. If you were looking for a tutorial on how to do any of this stuff, feel free to ask me. I can make tutorials. If you're not looking for a tutorial, if you're just looking for like a video, just videos to watch. This guy, these are all videos that I would recommend from these people. Also, the other guy that I said, but he's gone now. I want to see this. I'm just gonna watch this. I don't know if y'all can hear the music. Oh my god, I'm just go away. The canvas side, see, I just make the really long canvas and then you storyboard, you sketch it, line art. But it's hard because they're you can't tell what the paneling is. So in here, let me go to my draw paint. Yeah, paint. I know what I'm doing. The way that I would do paneling is like I would make like a box and then like another box. Most of it's just shapes. So think about it like in geometric shapes. I used to think about it like one whole line and then it scrolls down, right? Because that's what it's supposed to be. But I found it easier to kind of block off my shapey shapes because it's easier to see what your characters are doing. Like if you have two characters interacting, it's easier. What the? That does not look like a speech. This is easier to show dialogue between the two characters. You know, if they're talking, it's easier to convey than if you had like one dude here, one dude here. Like you can do this too. It's the same kind of thing. It just for me, I enjoy this part better. Like you could have a character here, character A is talking, character B is talking. There's a lot of different ways to do paneling. Get out of here. Yeah. I don't know what else. There's like here you could do this and add like a foreground. So maybe if you want to do, I don't know how to explain it. Like here you could add like, I don't know. I'll try to find that video for you guys on comic paneling because I know it's oh, it's this one. This person. Not this video, but oh my god. I like this person. This one. The framing techniques. This is what I was looking for. This is framing techniques. See, they talk about specific things for like mood. Although they use a different software, it's pretty much the same thing. Like no matter what, you're going to be drawing this, and it's going to be kind of similar, you know. Like if you want dramatic effect, you can use like those scary lines, and they have it on a lot of softwares. Like if you're looking for where it is on IBS Paint, they have it too. Not really use it that much. I think I used it like one time, but you can do that. You can use it for dramatic effect. You can do this, like this. You can do it like that. So show like a transition. This is transition. So it's like when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor. Blah 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 blah. Doctor. You can definitely learn a thing or two about all that stuff. That's pretty much it though. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I could yap about comics forever. I've been yapping for too long though, and I probably should go do other things like study for my midterm because not my midterm, my final. Wish me luck on my final, guys. I'm scared. I hope I pass. But anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed yapping for a little bit, although I think halfway through I kind of forgot what I was doing. But if you want to, I will link all these guys below so that you have easy access to them. I'll link that one video with the paneling just in case you want it. And if you guys want a tutorial on how to do IBS Paint stuff, I got you, bro. I got you. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. And goodbye. I hope you have fun. See you later. Bye. Bro.